Hey there, what's your name?
Chris.
Chris, and what do you do, Chris?
I'm an iron worker.
Okay, what, is that welding, or just, is that like a kind of a encompassing term, or?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of welding involved, a lot of steel erection, for basically, pipe supports here in the plant. I know you might see a lot of pipes going up in the air when we put the framework for the pipes to be supported on.
Okay, cool. Where are you from, and what kind of stuff were you into growing up?
Oh, I'm from Houston. I don't know, I was into dirt bikes and stuff like that growing up.
You were into everything?
Yeah, anything outdoors,
Okay, did you kind of like have any interest in building things, or anything like that kind of coming up for you when you were a kid, or just normal kid stuff?
No, I did. I actually had a friend of mine who's my dad's neighbor, and he was a pipe fitter. And, he was all the time building stuff at his house, building fences, barbecue pits, stuff like that.
Cool, so you got to watch him do that?
Yeah, so kind of I got to help him, and so it kind of, got me interested in the trades.
So you were like a welder helper at like 4? Really?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess you could say that. Hey, if he wanted some more welding rods, I'd go get them or whatever,
Yeah.
But, all the way up until, in my teens, late teens, he'd always have some little project going on. I'd go down there and help him.
Well, what made you get into welding, into the field? Like, was that definitely a precursor for that, or were there other factors?
Well, I took metal shopping class in high school, and so I already kind of knew about the basics of of welding and fabrication.
Okay, and I mean, obviously you work different jobs, but on a just daily basis, what does your job entail?
Basically, like I said, steel erection, which sometimes involves welding, and sometimes it just involves bolts, but a lot of it basically just putting up iron supports for pipes and tanks and various other things that they got plants.
Right. So I know that you've worked on some oil and gas plants. Which ones, and what did you do? Was it the same stuff you were talking about before, but just like in these plants?
Well, I did that at Valero for a year and a half. And then when I was at Shell, we was doing a lot of other, support for other crafts, like when they go to change out valves and stuff like that, we would rig them up with the crane.
Okay.
So a lot of, rigging and, different things in order to pull a valve out or replace a valve or a tank or pipe or
Right, just kind of wherever they needed you.
Whatever they had. You know, it was during a shutdown, you know, they'd pull the old parts out and put the new ones in, so.
Right. Well, what about safety? I mean, obviously safety is a huge deal, and OSHA's on that, but how important has that been on the different projects you've worked on?
And I think safety is very important because I did fall on a job. It wasn't an oil and gas job. It was a regular construction job. Mm-hmm. And I fell 25 feet. And so I think it's very important to always wear your, proper protective equipment.
And were you at the time?
Yes, I was. And that piece of equipment was faulty, so it's always important to check your equipment.
Right.
Don't just rely on that it being good.
Right. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced in your field?
Let's see. Basically, a lot of the challenges are, especially in as far as I'm concerned, is that I've been doing it so long, and I know the way how to do it, and I know how to do it safely, but there's always somebody to tell you got to do it this way. And a lot of the challenges is biting your tongue and not
right.
not telling you guys that just fresh out of college. It's hey, look.
And they're kind of just telling you how to do something you've been doing for decades. Yeah, that would definitely be challenging. What would you say? What?
The work aspect of it is I mean, yeah, it's challenging. The heat, the elements, climate-wise and everything, those can be challenging sometimes. But not near as challenging as the other stuff,
Right, definitely. What would you say is the most rewarding part of your job?
Being able to look back and see what you've done.
Right.
You could pass a mile-long pipe rack, and you drive down the road and say, hey, I helped build that.
Right. This is totally off topic, but didn't you work on something with the Astrodome? Did I make that up?
I worked on the Reliance Stadium.
The Reliance Stadium, right. Okay, so what did you do for that? Obviously, it's not oil and gas related, but I think it's pretty cool that you did that. That's a big thing in Houston,
Yeah, I did a lot of the main structure. Where the iron that the roof retracts back and forth on.
Very cool. Well, my last question for you, Chris, is what would be your advice for others out there interested in getting into the welding field? Because I get so many questions all the time, like, where do I start, and what would your advice to them be? Be it pipeline or ironwork in general?
My biggest advice is think about your future. think about your family's future and your, because you don't want to do it your whole entire life. So if the company or union that you belong to doesn't have the benefits that, you know, you would be interested in, do a little research. Pay attention in school. Pay attention on the job training. Because it might not be a piece of equipment, protective equipment that saves your life. It might be some old timer in there, you know.
Right.
Give you some advice, you know.
Right, like you.
Yeah, just, you know, you see a kid fresh out of high school come out on a job and he wants, you know, act like a superhero or whatever. You just kind of got to, I guess, put your hand on him and say, hey, look, he's right, you know.
Right.
Just pay attention.
All right. Well, that's all I had for you. I appreciate you participating on this soon-to-be audio podcast. You did help. I appreciate it.